Hey guys, hope you're doing well and happy Valentine's Day. I'm going to go over all the notes that you have handed out to you and get you ready for the homework assignment. So, first question here in your notes is converting things from this form right here, which is called the factored form, into standard form. And the pattern you have to remember is that P plus Q is the middle term and PQ is the final term. So for example, right here, 6 and 2, we add them up to be the middle term and we multiply to be the last term. Similarly, 2 and 7, 2 plus 7 is 9, 2 times 7 is 14. 8 and 2, 8 plus 2 is 10, 8 times 2 is 16, and this last one, 3 and 2, add up to 5, multiply to be 6. And what we talked about last time is how do you go backwards? Let's say, for example, you have x squared, 8x, and 12. How do you put this into factored form? And the way we discussed is you write down this last number, 12, and you write down all the numbers that multiply to be 12, like 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, and you look through your list and you find the two numbers that add up to be 8, in this case, 2 and 6. So we're going to write this as x plus 2, x plus 6. 18. 18 is 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. And 3 and 6 work because 3 plus 6 add up to be 9. So it's going to be x plus 3, x plus 6. Same thing for 14. 7 times 2 is 14, adds up to 9. So we can write this x plus 7, x plus 2. And then we got 36 and 36. That one's a tricky one because 36 has a lot of factors. We're just going to go ahead and start writing these out. 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. And you can use a calculator to help you get these factors if you need to. This middle term is 15, and we get it with a 3 and 12. So we can write this as x plus 3, x plus 12. Well, it turns out that with negatives, it follows the same kind of rule. We're going to skip this right here so you can cross this off. But it's still the same pattern, P plus Q for the middle term, PQ for the final term. And so with this one, we have our x squared. You have a positive 9 and a negative 1. So 9 plus negative 1, that's going to be 8. So the middle term is 8x. And now this, to get the last term, you got to multiply these. So 9 times negative 1 is negative 9. This guy is going to be x squared. Negative 2 and 5 is going to be positive 3x minus 10. We've got x squared minus 6x minus 7. And we've got x squared 4 minus 2 is positive 2x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And the last one, we got x squared minus 6x. Positive 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. All right, now this is the important part. The part you have to really remember is how do you write something like this in factored form? The final number is negative 5, so we're going to write down a pair of all the numbers that multiply to be negative 5, like 1 and negative 5, and negative 1 and 5. Notice if you have a negative number, you're going to have twice as many combinations you have to look through to see if you get that middle number. Middle number is negative 4, and so we got 1 minus 5 is negative 4. So now we can write this as x plus 1, x minus 5. And let's just check and make sure this works. 1 minus 5 is negative 4, and 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. So we've checked off both of those, and we're good. Negative 18 is going to be negative 1 and 18, negative 2 and 9, negative 3 and 6. And we can flip those signs, negative 18, negative 9, negative 6. We're looking for a combination that's going to give us negative 3 in the middle. This would give us 17, this would give us 7, this would give us 3, this would give us negative 17, this one would give us negative 7, and finally, our last combination is going to work. 3 minus 6 will be negative 3, and 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. So we can write this in factored form, x plus 3, x minus 6. Positive 14. Well, the numbers that multiply to be 14 are 1 and 14 and 2 and 7. But the problem with this is when we add them up, 1 plus 14 is positive 15, 2 plus 7 is positive 9. None of them give us that negative 9. So we have to go back and remember the fact that a negative times a negative equals a positive. Negative 2 times negative 7 is a positive 14, and negative 2 plus negative 7 is negative 9. And so this is going to work. We got two negatives, x minus 2, x minus 7. And we'll just go ahead and skip the last two. Let's go now talk about a specific pattern called a difference of squares. And this shows up a lot. Basically, what's going on here is there is no middle term. It's x squared plus 0x minus 4. So we can use the same process we've been using. We can look at numbers that multiply to be negative 4 and that add up to be the middle number, which in this case is 0. There are 0 x's. So for negative 4, 1 and negative 4, negative 1 and 4, and also 2 and negative 2. And that's going to be the combination we want because 2 times negative 2 multiply to be negative 4, and they add up to be 0. So that's going to be x plus 2, x minus 2. X squared minus 9 is the same thing, x squared plus 0x minus 9. So two numbers that multiply to be 9 that add up to be 0 is going to be 3 and negative 3. So we're going to write this as x plus 3, x minus 3. And this one, x squared plus 0x minus 16. You're starting to see the pattern. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 16 that add to be 0 are 4 and negative 4. And what's going on is we're taking the square root. The square root of 2, or the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. So applying that same pattern, the square root of 7 is, well, it's not going to be a really nice number. We're just going to leave it as the square root of 7. Okay, that's it for the notes. Good luck with the homework, and hope you have a great day and a great weekend. I'll see you all on Wednesday.